Ever wondered if AI can actually, do something really concrete for your business, even if you're not a tech whiz? We're talking about AI not just answering questions, but quietly working away behind the scenes, automating stuff, making your life genuinely easier. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something that's, well, making waves. The Model Context Protocol, MCP for short. It seems to be quickly becoming a pretty significant shift in how AI tools, think ChatGPT or Claude, can directly interact with the software you use every single day. So our mission today is to really get under the hood of MCP, figure out what it is, how it actually helps businesses, and, why you might want to pay attention. Especially if you're using WordPress and drowning in those repetitive tasks. We want to cut through the jargon, get to the why and how.
Exactly. And what's really interesting here, I think, is how MCP manages to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
That often wide gap between AI's, let's say, raw intelligence and a business's day-to-day operational needs. It really elevates AI. It's not just a conversational partner anymore. It becomes an active agent that can do things. Right there, inside your unique business setup, it's about giving your digital tools practical smarts.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We hear AI thrown around constantly, but what is the Model Context Protocol specifically? How would you break it down for someone hearing this term for the very first time?
Right. Well, in simple terms, think of MCP as kind of like a USB port for AI.
Yeah.
Just like you use a USB stick to securely move data between computers. MCP lets an AI connect to your business stuff, your WordPress site, maybe your WooCommerce store, an Excel sheet, even your email. And here's the really key part. It does this in a way that's controlled and secure.
Controlled and secure.
Okay. Yeah. And it's not some, lockdown proprietary thing either. It's actually an open source standard. Came out of Anthropic back in 2024. Now, behind the scenes, the protocols are complex, sure, very secure. But that USB analogy, it helps grasp the main idea. Letting your AI do things, not just talk about them.
That sounds incredibly powerful. But I imagine for a lot of business owners, it might also sound a little intimidating. How do you make sure this AI, now that it's doing things, stays firmly under control? Because that's often the big worry, isn't it? That the AI might just go rogue, do its own thing.
That's a really good question, and it hits on a core strength of MCP. You, the business owner, you decide precisely what the AI can see and what it's allowed to do. It's like giving hands and eyes to a digital assistant, but you absolutely keep your finger on the switch. You're in control. To really get how it works, maybe think of it like a highly coordinated team. Each member has a very specific job.
Okay, a team analogy. I like that.
So first, you've got the MCP server. Think of this as your digital archivist. It holds your data, your tools, your services, but it's super protective. It only shows what's needed when it's told to, securely.
That's right, the protector.
Then there's the MCP client. An example might be an app like Claude Desktop. This is like the Teams translator. It takes your normal language requests, make a sales report or send this email, and translates them so the AI can understand and act.
Right, turns my words into AI instructions.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, you have the tools. These are the actual actions the AI can perform. They're predefined functions like generate a report, send a mail, or read this file. So when you make a request, the AI looks at it and intelligently picks the right tool for that specific job. These three parts, server, client, tools, they work together seamlessly. The whole system allows for secure, efficient, and crucially controlled automation of specific tasks, all under your command. Control is really baked in.
That makes sense, how the pieces fit together. But let's get practical. For our listeners, the real question is, what does this actually mean for their business? Especially, say, small or medium businesses using WordPress. Many are constantly battling complex plugins, maybe needing custom code, facing long delays, and often pretty high costs. So thinking about all that struggle, what if you could just, write a sentence in plain English and have AI handle some of that work? It sounds almost too good to be true for many, I bet.
Well, it's definitely a big shift from how things used to be. But with MCP, that idea, it's genuinely becoming possible. Now, look, the initial setup does require some expertise, let's be clear. But once it's configured, you basically just explain what you need done. An AI agent could be Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, can then follow those precise instructions. And the direct result, less wrestling with complicated plugins, a big boost in efficiency, much better control over how things run, and probably most important, more time back for the business owner. Time to focus on growth, not just repetitive admin.
Okay, that's the promise. Can you walk us through some real-world examples? What does this actually look like day to day? Give us something concrete.
Absolutely. Let's look at some practical scenarios. Take example one, automatic content generation. Imagine you've got a new e-commerce site, right? And you need to add, say, 100 new products. just thinking about writing all those descriptions, tags, getting the SEO right, it's daunting.
Oh yeah, that's hours, maybe days of work.
Exactly. With MCP, you can automate a huge chunk of that. You just give it the raw data, maybe an Excel file or CSV with product names, prices, specs. The AI reads it, generates Google-optimized product descriptions for every single item, and then uploads them straight into WordPress as drafts.
Wow, as drafts so you can still review them.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You maintain final control. But the result? You've just saved potentially hundreds of hours. You get consistent, good quality text across your whole catalog, and your site looks professionally updated. It really can feel a bit like magic the first time you see it work. Okay, then there's example 2. Order monitoring. Think about e-commerce again. How often does an order accidentally get missed? Flips through the cracks when things get busy. It happens.
A common headache for sure.
Right. So MCP can help here too. The AI connects to your WooCommerce store, keeps an eye on all the orders coming in, and automatically flags any that haven't shipped after, let's say, 48 hours. Then you get a neat little report, maybe email, maybe Telegram listing exactly which orders need attention. It's like having this silent, super vigilant assistant making sure nothing gets forgotten.
So it prevents problems before they happen?
Exactly. It shifts you from reactive firefighting to proactive management. Frees up your headspace. And one more, example 3. Automated customer support. Picture a customer filling out a support form on your site. With MCP, the AI gets that request. It can instantly check your internal documents, your FAQs, maybe even past support chats, all stored securely on your server. Based on that info, it generates a ready-to-send draft reply tailored to the customer's question.
So faster response times.
Much faster. You can offer basically 24/7 initial support, drastically cut down wait times, and really lighten the load on your human support team. They can then focus on the complex stuff, the issues that need real human empathy and problem solving. It's about using your resources smarter.
These examples really paint a picture. It sounds incredibly promising. So boiling it down, why are businesses starting to seriously look at MCP? What's the big draw?
You hit the nail on the head. The core benefits are pretty compelling, especially for smaller businesses. First, like we said, you don't necessarily need deep programming skills or pricey software licenses to get started with automating tasks. You can use natural language. Second, it adapts to what you already use, your databases, plugins, cloud systems. And crucially, your data stays put under your control on your server. You're not shipping sensitive info off somewhere else.
That data sovereignty piece is huge for many.
It absolutely is. And then there are the efficiency gains. We've genuinely seen cases where operational time for specific repetitive tasks gets cut by up to 80%.
80%, that's massive.
It can be transformative for certain workflows. It just integrates your data and tools much more tightly, creates a smoother flow. Plus, as we saw with the support example, it reduces the burden there and helps you avoid potentially insecure third-party tools for some of these jobs.
Okay, an 80% reduction is... oh, well, that's a headline number. But let's talk risk. Any powerful tool needs careful handling. What are the potential downsides? What could go wrong, and how do you prevent it?
That's a critical point, and it needs to be addressed head-on. Yes, if MCP is set up badly misconfigured, an AI agent could potentially delete data it shouldn't or access confidential info.
Right, the nightmare scenario.
But these risks are actually quite manageable with basic safeguards. Rule number 1. Only use reliable, well-tested tools and configurations. Don't just grab any script off the internet. Protect your credentials, your API keys, passwords very carefully, and maybe most importantly, always apply the principle of minimum privilege, meaning the AI agent gets only the permissions it absolutely needs to do its specific job and nothing more.
Right.
You tell it exactly what it can do and block everything else. If you follow these practices, the setup is secure, and the benefits really do outweigh these potential and frankly avoidable risks. And in terms of best practices when you're implementing it, a few key things. Always test in a sandbox first. A separate environment away from your live website or data.
Test ground. Makes sense.
Absolutely. Second, log everything. Make sure you have a clear audit trail of every action the MCP takes. Accountability is key. Third, especially when you're starting out, manually check the results. Don't just assume the automation is perfect. Verify things.
Human oversight, still important.
Fundamental. And finally, keep those access keys secure. Keep your systems updated. Security isn't a one-time setup. It's an ongoing process. You have to stay vigilant.
Good advice. So we've talked a lot about WordPress because it's so common, but MCP isn't just for WordPress, right? Its potential reach is much wider.
Oh, absolutely. Much wider. Think of MCP as that intelligent control hub connecting AI to, well, pretty much any digital tool you use daily. For example, it could read incoming emails, figure out what they're about, and then trigger actions, maybe open a support ticket automatically, ping a colleague on Slack, forward it to the right person.
Okay, so email automation on steroids.
Kind of, yeah. Or think about chatbots. MCP can let them consult your internal knowledge base, your company wikis, for really precise answers, way beyond basic FAQ bots. It can even monitor your shared drives, flagging if important documents are missing or if something hasn't been updated in a while. And it plays really nicely with automation platforms like N8N or Make. Imagine kicking off a complex multi-step process onboarding a client, maybe involving your CRM, email, project management tool, all triggered by a single simple sentence command to the AI via MCP.
Wow.
Yeah, basically acts as that central bridge between the AI's brain and your actual business operations across CRM, ERP, cloud storage, wherever your work happens.
Okay, so wrapping things up here for today's deep dive, the main takeaway seems to be this. MCP isn't some magic button you just press. It's a strategic tool, a really powerful connector between your own intelligence and artificial intelligence. If you're stuck with tasks that eat up time, processes that feel clunky, or systems that just won't talk to each other, MCP looks like a serious contender for making a real difference. Yes, it needs careful setup, that initial investment of configuration, but the payoff seems to be significant time savings, better efficiency, and ultimately more control to help you grow.
And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Start thinking right now. Which specific process in your business makes you groan? Which one would you love to improve immediately with this kind of smart automation? Identifying that pain point is the first step. But remember what we said about setup. While the idea is simple, getting the configuration just right, making sure it's secure, making sure it delivers maximum value, that really does take specialized knowledge. So for anyone who's intrigued and ready to seriously explore how MCP could work for their business, particularly if you're heavily invested in WordPress, getting professional guidance is really important. Don't try to wing it on something this powerful.
Absolutely. And if you are looking for that kind of expert help, someone who really understands this intersection of AI, MCP, and WordPress, we can highly recommend reaching out to Michele Bedin. He's a specialist WordPress consultant in this area. You can find him and learn more about his services over at www.michelebedin.com. Definitely worth checking out if this deep dive has sparked some ideas for your own business.